gets out of base? Like, how long does he have to like make something?
It's got a minute. He's got 60 seconds to use it and get going with it. So yeah, the package lasts 60 seconds. And it spawns first one spawns at 4 minutes, which is when the first Drake spawns. So essentially, you have to back before first Drake, pick it up, and get straight into a Drake fight if you want to use it.
Right, and for those of you who are even less familiar with Corki than we are, he is the guy, the flying dude, and his passive is he gets a package every once in a while that powers up his abilities and makes him kind of funny, actually. In any case, we are into our game. And we're on the point of view of a victim. In particular, we're looking at Sanji on the Gragas here as he goes up and sets up into his lane across from the Garen. And it looks like there's no shenanigans here. We have both of our Baron laners in the Baron lane. And just based on the minimap, it looks like all 4 of the normal members are in that Dragon lane.
Yep, no crazy lane swaps going on here. Actually, what's interesting is because maybe the first dragon meta is becoming more and more important. You know, we might see that lane swaps become less, I guess, less employed. That'd be my thought process. But you know, we'll have to see if you're very quick at pushing towers and very quick at taking lanes, then maybe you can do that and swap for first dragon immediately. We'll have to see if any other teams choose to employ that today. But first dragon has kind of become like the point where which teams fight quite a lot, which is really interesting because I have my own opinions about the fact that I don't think it's 100% necessary. Like I don't actually think you need to give your entire. I don't think you need to give your game away to like run it down at first dragon, but it has kind of become the meta. So you have to respect the fact that that's the way the teams are playing right now.
Okay, well, if that's your opinion, then you should watch yesterday's matches because they will make you very happy. Because Big E-Tron just basically ignored the dragons the entire time. They're just like, we're gonna kill towers. That's what we're gonna do in this game, and it worked out pretty well until they kind of threw at the end. So.
Yeah, but I think it's sensible. Like, if you don't have a composition that can fight at first dragon, and you have to make an assessment about your composition when you're in game, like in solo queue, if the enemy team has Kennen, I always tell my team to never fight at first dragon because we're going to lose to a Kennen ultimate 99 times out of 10, unless you have like a Gragas or a Lee who can kick him out.
Sorry, that was a huge percentage. 99 times out of 10. Sorry, I had to point that out.
Sorry, 99 times out of 100. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, 99 times out of 100. So I'm tired. 99 times out of 100, you know, we're going to lose that. So unless we have a Lee, an Alistair, or a Gragas who can knock the Kennen away during the ultimate, and even then that has to be like done really well. You know, I just think that fighting at first dragon versus certain compositions is just completely running it down. So you just have to be super careful, I think, with the way that you approach it. I like the fact that, you know, Gambit is just like spamming these waves. One of the things that I think Corki does have going for him as an AD carry is he's got some of the best like wave clear. His phosphorus bomb plus Gatling gun is very, very good at just pushing waves consistently. And then obviously once he gets level 5, he unlocks those rockets, and that is even better at doing so. So yeah, I think maybe, you know, like Corki can work in that sense if you're just trying to shove lanes in 24/7. And he scales really well, don't get me wrong. But like I said before, he is 80% magic damage as an AD carry, even though you know, you think, oh, but he's ranged, he's a damage dealer. But if you look at the damage split, even on his basic attacks, it's 63 magic damage and 16 AD. And then all of his abilities, for the most part, apart from Gatling gun, deal magic damage. And Gatling gun is a 50-50 split of magic damage and AD. So this, like, Corki's not an AD carry. Corki's a magic damage carry. And one of the things that I think also hurts Corki is because on the PC version, Corki can run with magic penetration boots. We don't have magic penetration boots on Wild Rift, and neither do we have attack speed boots. And obviously, Corki still goes an AD build path, right? He still goes an AD build path, but he can't get access to the boots on this version of the game that actually help accelerate his damage in the mid game. And actually, you can't build magic pen easily on Corki. You have to just kind of go with whatever other boots, like the gluttonous enchant or something, you know.
Right. So I haven't looked at his actual, you know, abilities and the stats or what have you. But so what you're saying is his abilities, they scale using AD items, but they enhance his AP damage. So it's what you're saying.
Yeah, so his basic attacks scale with his normal AD, but then they split the damage 80-20. So it's 80% of his AD is dealt in magic damage, 20% is dealt in AD. Most of his abilities scale with AP, believe it or not. Some of them do indeed scale with AD, like the package that scales with AD, so the damage it deals scales, which is really weird. The package damage scales with AD, which he's going to pick up now, as you can see, and the Gatling gun also scales with AD, as do his rockets, but his phosphorus bomb, I believe, scales with AP. I can't quite remember. It might have a bit of AD scaling, but irrespective, like there's a kind of a semi-hybrid build path that you can kind of work with. Oh, we got a dragon fight though. Here's the package.
Yeah, he gets the package. They are going towards the dragon right now. It seems like they're going to get it pretty easy unless Braum can make something happen. It looks like it does go over to our Liyab team, as it seems like Corki is kind of unopposed here, but that's because the rest of his team is just taking a ton of damage on the backside. Lee Sin has to go home and lick his wounds, and so too does Garen. The Alistar's already fallen. The Lee Sin does fall as well. And we're in a bit of an interesting situation for Liyab here, as it seems like Victim has taken the early advantage.
Well, that was run it down at first Drake fight, as you saw. Both teams just decide to collectively run it into each other at the Drake, and essentially see what happens. And I think Liyab came away with the Drake. Obviously, the team fight win did come out in favor of Victim. I do think Victim have got a strong team fight wombo combo, like Braum ultimate into Wukong ultimate into Ziggs ultimate, plus the damage that Gragas can put out. I think it's just they spike a little bit harder at this stage of the game compared to the Liyab roster, who I think with Orianna and Corki are going to take a little bit longer to come online, like especially Corki. He scales really well into the late game, so you need to kind of give him that time to get there. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Liyab probably call that a success. They didn't lose a tower. They get the Drake, and they only gave up 2 kills. Could have gone much worse for them in that scenario. I think they'll actually come out of that feeling relatively comfortable.
Well, who's not comfortable is Gragas, as he got punched out of the way, or excuse me, kicked, I should say, by the Lee Sin. Was in a bit of trouble, had to flash in order to get out. Looks like there might be a bit of a skirmish here around the Rift Herald as we switch perspectives over to the Corki. But as he looks up, bunch of stuff going down. I can't even tell because Corki's going to have to look at it for us. Switching back over to the Gragas here. He's running for his life. Has power for a second, but he's just going to get punched down in the end by Liyab as they group up and lay down the hurt. And in addition to that, it looks like Corki's actually pushing into that mid lane as he's taking advantage of the fact that he's already pushed down onto that bottom lane. He's going to be just kind of focusing down his tower, as Wukong really doesn't have anything to do with it. Unfortunately, the minion wave does go away, and his own wave over in the Dragon Lane is being pushed in by the Ezreal.
Yeah, but a good response from the Orianna. Like, I think Ezreal in that situation, that was the best thing he could do. Just like shove that Dragon Lane in, maybe try and threaten the turret while the Rift Herald's going down. But that was a nice pick onto the Gragas. That's now allowed them to get the Rift Herald relatively scot-free. They could just drop that mid for a guaranteed first turret in the mid lane, or they could just look for another opportunity to essentially try and either push for 2 turrets or group up. Third use, you can use it when the next dragon spawns to try and create distraction in one of the other lanes. So there's plenty of options that you can do with the Rift Herald. Looks like there's a bit of a fight going on in the bottom side of the map here. Like, they're all grouped up around the bottom lane, the bottom lane turret. Corki has got yet another package ready to go. Like, he could just clear the wave with this and just push it down mid, but it looks like he's taking advantage of the fact that Ziggs showed himself top, and they're getting an easy first turret. Good pickup by Gambit here. And Liyab come away with the first turret of the game, which is that all-important mid lane tier 1, because as you can see now, it has opened up the enemy red side jungle, and you can see both Miggy and Gambit happy to just walk through relatively uncontested.
Okay, looks like Ezreal was in a bit of trouble for the moment there. Taking a look at Gambit, this entire time, it feels like he's mostly avoiding team fights and really focusing on his own farm. In fact, the reason why they were late to that first dragon at the beginning of the game was because he was focusing on clearing the way before he got his own package. So it seems like that is the concern here. That is the focus, as they want to beef up this Corki as much as possible over basically anything else, it seems like.
Yeah, one of the mistakes that I think Gambit has made, though, is that he separate steams running, by the way. With 20 seconds until the package, the dragon spawns, he's already lost his package now. So he doesn't have that all important package for the dragon fight, which is just about to start in a second, and that's one of the big impact abilities that Corki can have for these fights. See what happens in the bot lane. They drop the Rift Herald. Garen's moving up. Gragas is now forced to respond, and no one is going to be there to deal with the Rift Herald in that side lane. So this is a very classic maneuver. Actually, looks like Gragas is going to stay on this side of the map, though, which is interesting, because I would have thought that the Garen would have moved completely, but maybe Garen feels like he's less important in a team fight than the Gragas is. So he's just happy to kind of sit there and let the Rift Herald do its thing and say, okay, well, if Gragas is not in the team fight, then it's okay if I'm not in the team fight, because it's just he's better in that situation than I am.
Yeah, perhaps they didn't feel super comfortable going for the dragon right away. Although, as I say that, they are going to go for it right now. We see Gambit trying to focus his damage on it. Here comes Elise and pushes back the Braum. He goes down instantly. The Corki has to run out of there. They do take down the Wukong clone, but that's not going to do a whole lot good. They go for the Gragas, excuse me, but before he goes down, he's able to take out one on his own. The Wukong is down as well, as looks like it's a 3-4-1 trade in the end. Only the Alistair falling here for Liyab, so very well done on their side. I think they're going to go back for the Dragon here. Yes, they do. We have the zoning from the Orianna to keep out the Ezreal. Are they going to be able to take this Dragon? Looks like most likely yes, even though they're having a tough time of doing so, and they do take it in the end.
Actually, that was doubly painful for a victim as well. If you talk about, yes, exactly, because they made those teleports happen from the top lane. So obviously Gragas and Garen teleported into this fight here, but Gragas teleported with a full wave at his turret. He missed all of that experience and missed all of that gold, and not only that wave took his turret in the time being as well. So the Rift Herald play worked out. It kept Gragas in the bot lane. They managed to shove that lane into turret, and then Gragas was forced to teleport, losing that side lane as well. So that was actually a really clever play from Liyab overall. That was a great cross-map distraction to keep the Gragas out of the fight for as long as possible. And when he actually was forced to teleport, it was too late because he ended up losing that turret regardless. So that was a really, really nice little play from Liyab. And when it comes to that team fight execution, you can see why, if you're Ziggs in this situation, you can see why it's difficult to make Ziggs work in games where you're not given the time to just poke out and try and set up for team fights, because Ziggs wasn't really able to be given the time to just utilize his range and his zone potential in that team fight, and whereas he was just instantly zoned out by the Orianna, the wombo combo of this the heavy damage combo from this Liyab roster, and Victim just don't have the time to set the Ziggs up right now, and that's why I feel he's a little lackluster in this game just for that reason.
Yeah, and we see Gragas having a bit of trouble in this lane as well, just desperately throwing out his ult earlier on. Wouldn't even been a kill, obviously, onto the Garen, because he does have his GA good and ready to go. And just by being out of the fight, Garen's like, hey, I heal. That's one of the things I do when I'm not in combat. Liyab just putting on the pressure, keeping that on, trying to push down this mid lane, even though there's nary an objective available. I guess just trying to keep the pressure on, because when the objective comes up, they're going to do a good job of it. We have the Alistair trying to engage here, getting on top of the Brawl. Maybe not the best target, but there's not really any target to get in the meantime. So looks like we're just going to have some continued aggression here coming out from Liyab.
Corki's really starting to scale up as well. Like, he's almost at the rapid fire cannon. He can back and pick that item up. So he'll have the Triforce Infinity Edge rapid fire cannon spike, which is a big spike for Corki. Huge damage output. So I'm expecting Gambit to start to take over the game in terms of damage output. And remember, it's not really like they get outscaled in this scenario. They don't. They actually don't get outscaled. Like even though Ziggs scales well, even though Ezreal is a relatively good scaling AD carry, like Corki and Orianna both scale just as well also. So this is like a composition where if you're ahead early, it's not like you're going to fall behind massively either. And they have a huge burst damage, because Corki even has a huge burst damage in team fights with his phosphorus bomb combo, especially with the Sheen proc as well. And you've got to remember that magic damage, you can see here, the magic damage from his basic attacks can crit as well. And you don't often get critical strike hitting magic damage. And so, with people who don't often itemize a huge amount of kind of like magic resistance, there aren't many. I wouldn't say there aren't many universal good magic resistance items in the game. It's not like you have a GA which provides you with really useful AD plus also your armor. It makes it more difficult to itemize against someone like Corki, and they're just going to go for the Baron. I think they're just going to get it, being zoned out by the Orianna.
Yeah, the ult came up from the Ezreal, but wasn't going to be enough. At the smite came in at the right time. The Alistair is extremely low, but he's probably going to be okay. Oh my god, big slide in from the Corki, but has to flash his way out of there. Looks like the Alistair has gone down, and Lee Sin and Orianna are very low as well. They're going to probably try to make it out of dodge if they can do so. The Alistair is just going to pull the Garen's going to pull the members to the opposite direction, so that the rest of the Liyab team can get out of there. So a couple of kills here for Victim. They drop the Baron, but kind of as much as you can hope for here if you are on the Victim side.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there was a good play around the Baron. They're going to go straight for the Dragon in this scenario. It looks like Liyab are being very cheeky, utilizing this Baron buff to push down mid. You can see the end of that fight there. I mean, I think if you're Liyab, that was a risky Baron to start, right? You knew the entire enemy team was alive. You knew you'd do it quickly with the Corki, but you knew the enemy team was alive, so you knew you were going to get some resistance. Yeah, exactly. So you knew you were going to get some resistance. So they made a calculated decision in that scenario to say, okay, like, if we go for Baron here, we are clearly going to face some resistance. But if we get Baron, it's worth it. So I think in their heads, a calculated trade-off of two members of their team for Baron, especially keeping Baron alive on Corki, who's an incredible siege unit. Like Corki can siege towers because of his range and because of his obnoxious missiles. He can siege towers so well. So like they're probably saying, well, okay, we have Baron on our important champions. It's on the Orianna, it's on the Corki. Like I'm completely okay with this. We will trade 2 kills and a dragon for a Baron, and if we can get 2 or 3 turrets out of this, we call that 100% worth.
Yeah, the other usually mostly unseen side effect of taking the Baron in that situation is that it just takes it off the map, right? So worst case scenario, if you lose a team fight in the future, the other team can't take Baron. So it's kind of like just lessening the risk of future team fights as well.
One of the things that Ziggs is good at, by the way, is wave clear. So one of the things that you'd pick Ziggs for in a lot of scenarios is stalling a game. In League of Legends, he's in the PC version. He's very, very good at just pushing waves out and stalling and trying to give yourself time, your team time. But with Baron buff, Ziggs's wave clear becomes much harder to effectively do. Even though Baron has now dropped off, Liyab got they got 2 turrets out of that, maybe 3. So that I would say that's a worth Baron. Like you get a huge amount of gold injection for your team, and again, like you said, very importantly, D2, you drop Baron off the map, so it's no longer an objective that the enemy team can try and focus if they do indeed win a team fight. And I'd say that even though the kill score right now is even, clearly when it comes to map presence and when it comes to objective control, Liyab are in the driving seat, and you can see that they are setting up around this next Baron spawning in a minute's time. There is a package there available for Corki. I wouldn't pick it up now personally if I were Gambit. Maybe he can look to set up a fight before it, but you're going to have a very limited amount of time to use this around the Baron. I would maybe just drop it on top of the Baron if you're intending to go for it, but I like to pick it up and give myself the most time to work with the package, and he's only really going to have about 30 seconds to make a package play off the back of this Baron if he wants to use the package offensively.
Maybe just takes inhibitor shirt. He just runs up there with the package. It's just thinking about what he could possibly get done here. Maybe some cheeky plays. It's just kind of funny how after the Baron went down and after the Baron buff even fell off, they were continuing to push in. They had more, just courage to go ahead and do so. And I think just sorry to back up jump on my own point here, but it just seems like they were just more emboldened because they knew that even if they got picked, there's just nothing on the map to take at all. So
yeah, exactly.
In any case, the Baron is back up. Looks like one of the Drakes is going to be back up as well. Or excuse me, that probably is. When is the Elder Dragon spawn? Is that going to be the Elder Dragon?
It's Elder. It's spawning in 1 minute. It looks like it's the Cloud Soul for the Elder Dragon. Oh, they are threatening Baron. I saw Lee Sin had started it, but the rest of his team was not followed up. Garen is trying to provide a split push pressure here. He's trying to at least annoy the Gragas. They both have teleport available, remember, so they can both teleport into a Baron fight if necessary. We are watching Victim's point of view here. You can see they have absolutely no vision of that Baron area. And right now I'd be a little careful.
Engage, yeah.
Yes.
Looks like it was a bit of an ambush trying to catch the victim side, trying to get a little bit of a scout on, but kind of jumped the gun most likely from Liyab because they didn't really get the kill, and you see Miggy here on the Alistair taking quite a bit of damage, so they were probably just trying to get a pick, but they went deep into the side, or I guess not that deep, but they kind of gave away their positioning to a victim. That said, having pushed a victim back, they are able to jump right back onto this Baron. The ult comes out from Ezreal. Can they take it down in the meantime? They do. The ult comes out. Yeah, that was really, really close. They're able to take it down, though. In comes the knockup for the Alistair. He is taken down, however. Corki trying to do as much damage as he can while the stasis on the Orianna runs out. Looks like the GA comes out from one of our members, but they do get a kill onto the Braum. So too does Gragas and the Wukong fall off. And here comes the kill as well onto the last couple members as the stasis keeps Corki alive. And that most certainly has to be game. We even see the Garen up top pushing that lane, so it didn't even matter in the NX, and this is going to be a 2-0 victory for Liyab.
My God, Corki's damage in the late game was absolutely insane. But Liyab played that fight well. They took the engage. They forced Victim back around the Baron, and then immediately knew they had the damage to burst the Baron quickly. It was a clutch smite from the Lee Sin, though. I would have been definitely clenching a little bit when I saw the Ziggs ultimate coming in at a very, very, very close time. But it was a clutch Baron playing again. Corki's late game is absolutely nutty. Like, he just does so much damage if you let him get to that stage of the game.
Easy smite from Lee Sin. Don't even sweat it. He's probably just like taking a sip of his drink as he took that smite. He says, no problem.
Well, also I think Monkey, it was largely gamble for him, right? Wukong flashed in after Lee Sin already took the Baron, so it was just a little bit clustered, I think, because they didn't have any vision. They don't even have a ward in the Baron pit, so Wukong actually had a lot of risk for him, and turned out it didn't work.